All right. Welcome to another episode of the Bring the Juice podcast. I'm your host, Frank Delana. Today, the energy is high. We got Dr. Juan Bautista. Doc, say what's good.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm here.
We're fired up.
First we gonna rock, then we gonna fold, then we let it pop, don't let it go.
Sipping a little, enjoying ourselves, recording this on a little Thursday evening. You know, Doc, I want to come out of the gate here. You played at Fresno State. You're now huge in the athletic community as a doctor helping people get right. You got a lot of things on your list. We'll get to those. But I want to go back because you are part of a middle generation of athletes I've had on this. What was your why that pushed you through those hard days of the Pat Hill era at Fresno State? What got your ass out of bed?
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that. I actually grew up, with a father that is a badass, man.
Right.
You know, the whole thing here in the Valley, we're very, very proud of our roots, right? And so my dad, believe it or not, came across here as a kid, came across here illegally and whatnot, and eventually became a physician.
Wow.
And he tells me these stories of like, man, working the fields, blah, blah, then going to medical school, blah, blah, doing all these amazing things. And what happened, I'm that kind of guy that says, well, you know, it sounds great, but that's his story.
I agree. I'm the same way.
What about my story?
I want to beat my dad.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things that I said is, you know, to me, the best way of being grateful and being thankful to someone is with your actions, right?
Couldn't agree more.
Making it happen. And so when that happened, you know, with my dad, I kind of looking at him, I said, no, I want to be the next one. And in my family, we come from family of boxers. A lot of us boxed. And there was no one that played football.
Okay.
And so sure enough, coming out of Memorial, sound kid more like yourself.
What do you know?
what I mean?
Put it on the Memorial page.
I was a decent athlete there and, you know, got a couple of offers to smaller schools. Uh-huh. And I said, no, I want to play D1. Yep. And my dad, believe it or not, as much as a badass he is, he's like, nah, I mean, I want you to focus on school. I want you to focus. I said, nah, school, I'll go back to.
Right.
I'm going to play
it's
football.
Time.
And so it's so funny because when I came on, it was me and a small guy from Chowchilla named Cameron Worrell. Now that's where it changes. He obviously went to the pros. I ended up going to medical school. So that's what I realized.
Both are successful.
You got it. And so for me, that why was, you know, there's, people obviously like Goggins that talk about the accountability mirror. I'm big into that. When I wake up and I got children now, I wake up and I say, no, how am I going to preach to someone, whether it's a patient, my kid, myself, if I'm not doing it?
Right.
And so I live by that. And that's kind of what pumps me up, you know?
I mean, that's absolutely awesome. And that's such a prototype that any young athlete or adult who needs a reality check right now could take that and have their own reality mirror right there. Right. Because, you know, I think one of my questions was going to be later down the road. I'm going to ask it now. If you're more disciplined now than you were when you played. And I've had a bunch of athletes on, and the way they answer that is kind of hit or miss. Some guys are like, dude, I grinded so hard when I played, it was gone. And it doesn't hurt me inside. But one of the reasons I started this podcast was because that transition from being that grinder of an athlete who puts the physical and mental work in, that people don't understand the mental side. They see the physical side, but they don't realize the mental side. And in reality, all you're doing is sharpening the tools in your toolbox. You're going to these different heights mentally that you didn't think you could go to. And once you get plopped into the regular world, well, you got, I don't want to say you got an advantage, but you got an advantage.
Right.
You've gone through adversity. You overcome it. And going back to the accountability mirror, the hardest part, I think, for an athlete after they were done being that high profile, everyone loved them, they had to be in the tip top shape, do this, do that, show up on time here, is they knew if they didn't go to practice, they were running, they were rolling, they were puking, they were going to lose their spot. Now, if you sleep in, there is nobody that's going to be on your ass and say,
absolutely,
you know, I can't do it. So, you know, we talked about before the pod, you're up at 4 a.m, you're working all day, grinding throughout the week. Would you say you're more disciplined now than you were when you were playing football at the Division I level?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm much more disciplined now than I was back then. And I think that's actually what I also help some of these athletes. Some of the athletes that you've even brought on, I've helped out with, and that becomes discipline not only in physical ability, and I think that's what we do when we're young athletes, but on your mental as well as your nutritional, meaning you're taking care of your health.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the things, as I got older, I started realizing, hey, there's a whole community of people that depend on me. If I'm not at 100%, whether that's mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever you want to say, then I'm actually cheating them out, right? Cheating them from 100% of me. So with that being said, no, I had to be sharp. And I had to be sharp in terms of my study. So people say, man, why do you wake up so early? I tell people, listen, when I'm seeing patients, whether it's a patient's, well, I always tell the story. I'm 2 days a week, not Mother Teresa, but I take care of the very poor and underserved. The other 3 days a week, man, I'm taking care of athletes, stem cells, anti-aging, optimizing people. Well, when I'm seeing those patients, I give them my 100% commitment. So I don't have time to take phone calls or talk to people. So my studying is done in the morning because I can control my morning. So the first thing I tell anybody, whether you want to go to law school, medical school, lose weight, get your ass up in the morning. Because while other people are sleeping, that's your opportunity to compound those extra hours.
Yep.
So I became much more disciplined. The same thing came with eating, right? You know, I sound stereotypical. I'm a Hispanic guy. Obviously, I love my tortillas. I love them, right?
Hey, I'm a white guy. I love your tortillas.
But I tell people, due to my genetics, due to the health that I want, Monday through Friday morning, I'm pretty darn disciplined. I really don't eat that stuff. Friday night, my kids live in Chicago. I'm going to go get some pizza. Saturday, let's go get up. My mom's an amazing cook. But Monday through Friday morning, I'm going to try to be disciplined.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. That compounded, I think, with football, you know, you learn some of the mental toughness. You learn the physical.
Yeah.
But then you have to start carrying that on as you get older. And you got to start, hey, man, I got to eat right. I got to sleep, right? That's another thing. So those are all things that really built on. Going with that, I think people need to understand this, though. When people give up, when people finish their sports,
right,
it is a reality that there's a high percentage of depression that comes on.
You're empty. Yeah.
Because us, even though we're adults, we need structure.
Yeah.
So we had goals. We had spring ball. We have the first game. We have every week.
Yeah.
Also, you graduate and you can sleep in. You can do this. So
eat whatever you want the night before.
Eat whatever you want. Absolutely. And so one of the things that I deal with a lot of patients and that are ex-athletes is getting them back in the motive again. What is that why? Exactly like you said. In physics, right, we call it inertia. Right now, if we have a big boulder, it's hard to push. It's hard to move it. But once it gets going, it starts rolling. It's that initial energy to get your ball going again.
Right.
And that's what I love. That's what fires me up. How do you get that person that's overweight and get going? How do you get that ex-athlete that was once a stud, and you've seen some of them, a stud, and now you look at him like, golly, he's a beast, he's depressed.
What's going on?
I'm here to help him. That's what fires me up. Because back in the day, much like yourself, you know, we're known as being fast. We're known as having heart. Coach will say, oh, Bautista would hit anybody.
Right.
Now I'm not going to hit anybody.
No.
Now I'm hitting 300 pounders. I'm saying, we're going to lose some weight. We're going to get healthy.
Right.
How can I help you? You know what I mean? That's what fires me up.
That was awesome. Have you caught yourself in a lull in your personal accountability? Because so I'll lay it out for you. I work on the farm. People who understand the podcast, they know this at this point. During harvest, I wake up at 2:37 a.m. It's early mornings. I drive out to Kettleman City. It's an hour drive, hour commute. I'm there till usually 4:30. So that's a long day with a 2-hour commute. I caught myself last year. I wasn't working out like I wanted to. Yeah. And I love, anybody who's ever played with me, I love working out. I'm not like a GB3 rat or anything like that, but I love, you put a lift in front of me. I want to attack it. I want to throw some weight up. I want to do something that I probably can't do, but I still want to see if I can do it. I'm that guy. Like, oh, let's do 10 reps. All right, let's see if we can do 5 more. Like just because we can.
Yeah.
We're finished. Let's run the rack, get some curls in, have to, right? And that part of me was taken away. And like I told my dad, who he went through this exactly how I did. The same thing with football, where I missed lifting weights. Yeah. I was reading books. I was listening to books. I was sharp as pursuing my career, pursuing the podcast, pursuing my, I'm now engaged. Like I'm definitely firing on all cylinders, but I was already getting up really early and I was getting home late and I was like, I got to find time for this right now. Right. And I don't have time to drive to a GB3 or something like that. Put a bench press in my garage. Yeah. And I said, you know what? I can't do these fun 1.5 hour lifts like we used to. Right. But guess what? Got a little speaker, bench press in the garage. I have like a couple mixes that are like 37 minutes. Yeah, there you go. I start it and I say, you're going to go as hard as you can. Yeah. And these are, I got like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday lift, a Tuesday, Thursday deal. But that's how I keep myself accountable now. Good. And it's, it's hard because I also went through the stage where you go to the gym and you know what, you're just not feeling it, man. Right. It's different lifting in a football weight room where the juice is just immaculate. You got it. You're max lifting and you got 55 dudes around you yelling at you. You're going to get it up. Yep. Versus you got, maybe headphones on and you're like, all right, let's see if we can get this one going. It's different. So there's that absolute lull there. And what I wanted to trigger into is like, you mentioned you're helping these athletes climb out of that hole.
Right.
Do you have a specific program? Do you have something, or are you just more of, hey, these athletes come to me and I'm mentoring them?
You know what? I would love to say that there's, a specific protocol that we do. Everybody's different, right? We're all the same in God's eyes, but we're all a little bit different. So yes, there's things I do medically, right? I look at their blood work. I look at hormones or testosterone. I look at vitamin D, thyroid, all these things to make sure they're optimized, right? Meaning, I'm not, well, in my case, right, I'm never going to be 23, but I'm going to be the best 43 I can be.
Right.
Meaning, make sure my body is the best that I can be. But the main thing is when I get with these people, it's connection. And now I'm a regular MD, but I'm going to talk about things, energy, right? Energy is never...
We call it juice on this show.
We call it the juice. Well, juice is never created or destroyed, but it's transferred, right? Those are basic laws of thermodynamics and physics. So when I get to someone, and you know this, you walk into a room, there's someone that brightens up the room.
Totally.
Someone walking, and you say, man, this, but you also got that guy that comes in and goes, oh my God, Bautista's here, son of a gun, right? So I try to make a commitment. When I see that person, what's this energy? What's his energy like? And you'll see that there's two different type of people. There's people that are out there that their energy is lost. They're, man, I don't know what to do. And so for them, it might be, hey, I need to get this dude and find a way to get him to want some energy, right? On the other end, and this is where the majority of people that come to me, and this is actually sad as a physician, and I take blame for this as well. Most people come to me, and what that means, they're actually begging for help. They may not say that, but they come in with an energy, and we felt that before, man, this guy needs some help.
Yeah.
And you have that choice right there in life to say, hey, I'm either going to just watch this dude suffer, I'm going to be a regular doctor, write a prescription, or I'm going to help this dude out.
Yeah.
We've all had that, right? So totally. The same thing is, you'll see this every day, and I'm a sucker for motivation. I love it. I teach my kids this. Every day you'll drive down Herndon Avenue, or you'll drive down Clovis Avenue, and you'll see a car that's out of commission. One guy will step out of the car and go help that guy push that car. Thousands of people will drive by watching. Guess what? That one guy that got out and helped him push, he will motivate the next guy. Man, let me help this guy out. Then you see two guys helping.
100%.
We have that option in life. We have that option in life to, one, watch, to help, or three, get someone else to help.
Right.
And that's the thing. That's what I love. And those are passions that fire me up. Now, you're saying, oh, do I ever get burnt out? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do I get burnt out? And I would hate to sound like a Goggins, right? Where I don't get burned out. But that's why I also think it's important, just like what you're doing here. I'm not just saying this because I'm here. Important to keep passing that juice, that energy. It's never created or destroyed.
Yes.
It's transferred, right?
Yes.
Kinetic energy, what's it called? Potential. It's all energies that are transferred. So for myself, there's times where I'm like, man, what am I doing? I could just make 10 times more money just doing Botox and all this stuff. Why am I helping out the poor 2 days a week?
Right.
There's times I think that. But the way I prevent that is I carry a nice group, and there's an experiment that I show my medical students, and I get a balloon. I wish I would have brought it. I get a balloon, and I fill this balloon with air, and then I have another balloon, and I fill with water. That balloon, if I light a match with it with air, pops, pop, right? If I get a balloon right now, and I'll post it on my Instagram later, I'll do it live.
Right.
I fill it with a little bit of water, and I light it with a lighter. What happens? It doesn't pop.
It's not going to pop, yeah.
Keeps going again. People are like, oh my gosh, aren't you scared? Put it over my head. And the reason it doesn't pop is because that water absorbs that energy. It's transferred in there, right?
Right.
So what I tell people is this: we all got a popping point. The reason I haven't popped is because I not only fill myself up with water. I'm not saying we're drinking water today, we're drinking whiskey. I fill myself up with people that also help me out. So on my team alone, I just told you, I have people like Nikki Metchikoff, right? She calls me and she'll keep me accountable. Like, Bautista, you're being grumpy.
Yeah.
Right. Or, hey, when I start talking about not helping the poor, oh, you said we got to help the poor. So we help the poor. I got people like my best friend, Darren, who works with me, Bubba. Bubba makes sure that, when things are going on, he's like, hey, man, this isn't you, Juan. You're here to help people out, not for Instagram, so to speak,
right,
rather to help people out. So you got to have that account. You got to have that crew that absorbs that energy with you.
You got to surround yourself with the people that are like-minded and give you positive vibes. I very much agree with that. And you
only need a few. And so for the rest of the people, they turn around, they see me, hey man, this guy Bautista that has full of energy. And absolutely, because they're my water. They absorb the bad energy for me. Mm-hmm. They make sure that I don't pop. They also make sure that I fill it up. Now, if I would have filled that balloon with petroleum or gasoline, I think it would blow up in my face.
Right.
Do that experience. So it's very important what you fill your body up with. And that could even be with food. That's what I do with my athletes, right? Mm-hmm. So I had a bunch of guys trying out for the combine, right? Some of them did very well, some of them. And the first thing we look at is their nutrition status. Yeah, if these guys are eating Flamin' Hot Cheetos, these guys are eating all these inflammatory foods, low estrogen, I'll tell you the first thing that's going to happen. They're going to pull a hamstring. Big study came out of University of Alabama, showed a direct correlation, hamstring pulls and low vitamin C. As a matter of fact, most athletes, I think it was about 40%, were deficient on vitamin C. Isn't that amazing? We're talking about hamstrings earlier.
I'm a hamstring guy.
We were talking about hamstrings earlier. So that's one of the things. So why would someone have low vitamin C? Because they're eating junk in college. You know this. Flaming hot Cheetos, Takis, processed food.
Crazy.
Your body's a machine, man. You feed it good things, it's just like that balloon is not going to pop.
Yeah.
And that's actually what I teach my patients. And that, to me, doesn't matter if they're a homeless lady, if it's someone picking in the fields, someone that just got out of prison, or one of the best athletes in prison. We give them that opportunity.
Have you ever, I mean, I'm just thinking now, this is off the cuff, because one of the things about Bring the Juice, I do want people to have an understanding of the mental side of athletics.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I think there's a lot of fans, I say it all the time, we watch these guys on TV, they're on our fantasy teams, shit, their jerseys are up around us, but do you just know them, especially, I think football is the worst one, because you got a helmet on. Mm-hmm. When you play, I feel like I'm 6 foot 200, man. You feel like a superhero when you're out there. Right. But in reality, if you're in street clothes, you treat those guys differently than when they're just took their helmet off out of Bulldog Stadium.
Right.
So to be able to have a platform where people can talk athletes, not just people, the guys who have literally done this in the NFL, in the Olympics, at the Division I level, you name it, can talk about the mental side of it.
Right.
And I'm talking like how it can relate towards a professional. Right. Think about a high school junior in high school who's going through it, who's battling for a spot right now. And maybe their team's doing really well, and the guy ahead of him, it's a business.
It's a business.
Maybe there's a coach that likes, whose dad works with the other coach. Maybe there's all kinds of crap that goes on. Yeah. It's how do you deal with it? And you can't let that negativeness affect you. Right. You can't let it pop your balloon. Right. Absolutely. You can't do it. And so what I'm thinking is the way you're you're talking to these athletes, like, is there like a forum, a board, a group, a club that we could make to help the mental side of athletics? Right.
You know what? I wish we could. I think we should. I'll speak out. This gentleman doesn't mind if I share his medical information, but a good friend, young man by the name of Marquez Davis, right? Good guy. Running back out of Dos Palos, was a receiver at Fresno State, played a little bit in the league. Unfortunately, he's going through a very, very tough cancer. Came to me one day, said, "Hey, doc, man, I feel a little issue here." Right. Did an ultrasound, said, "Holy crap, all these tumors," right? He's been battling it for quite some time. What was so beautiful to see, we did the GoFundMe and all that good stuff, but we're in this group text message of all these brothers that we call, right? Yep. Brothers of football, so to speak, that support this guy Marquez in his battle of cancer. And it's so beautiful to see, man. So I 100% agree with that. But the cool thing that happened, start off with cancer, then you have another guy that maybe is going through depression. In my field, and these I won't talk about, but I do get players that become suicidal, right? Yeah. People that come through. And you see how quick we are to back each other up. Right. But the problem with us in football, we've grown up, we're great at being teammates, but we're very, hey, man, I'm good. Yep. I'm good. Hey, you hurt your hamstring? I'm all right, coach. She's a little tight, right? Yeah. So I think that's awesome. The more we start talking about it, the more people will respond to it and come out with a form. I'm not the smartest man in the world, but I know I'm smart enough to know that within a group of us, we're pretty darn smart.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, it is, I think, and there's so many podcasts out there that talk sports, and like, I knew I had to differentiate myself, and I didn't have one. Yeah. And I think about, again, I was on the sideline with Derek Carr this weekend. We talked about it. He knew about Bring the Juice. We talked about it. We're going to get an episode after season. But, I mean, to hear about how these guys really think and how they really go through their struggles. Right. Like, these dudes, athletes are human beings also. Yep. That's the crazy part that people can't comprehend. And this podcast, everyone can listen to it and hear what you think as you were once a Division I athlete and doing big things. Current guys, but to have a group where, like, I don't want to call it, not like a therapy session or anything like that, but like sometimes you just need that closed door with people that understand you eye to eye. Absolutely. And that's why I think I have such good podcasts with people. Yeah, no, because even like Dr. Bautista, we didn't really know each other very much until then. People would guess we freaking have known each other for 15 years talking to this because you know how I feel about this mental health stuff, this what struggles go through as an athlete. And I know you've been through it. So there's automatically a sign of respect. And like, I tell people all the time, like, a guy could shake my hand and be like, yeah, you know, I played 4 years at so-and-so college. I'm like, okay, you've been through adversity. Like, at least I know that about you. I don't know what, you know, what your diet is or how your marriage is, any of that stuff. But I know that you've been through some shit at one point in your life and you've overcame it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it brings me back, man. You brought up Goggins. I'm a huge Goggins guy.
Oh, yeah.
Love David Goggins. If you don't know him yet, figure it out, okay? But one thing that I bring up about Goggins, and this is hard for me to say because I love him, but I want to make it more normal, and one of my goals is to get him on the podcast and ask him, hey, what if you had to work all day? How would you go about it? How many pull-ups would you do? How many miles would you run? Because Goggins, badass Navy SEAL, has overcome some insane things. Can't Hurt Me is one of the best books you could possibly read. But he's able to not work because he wrote a good book. He goes and gets paid to talk to people. Hey, goals. I want to write a book and be able to do stuff like that. But if I'm working 80-hour work weeks and trying to be a good young 25-year-old kid who is thriving in life, and I can't, you know, do some of the things Goggins is doing, I want to know, what would he do? So how do you take slices of Goggins and not take it, I know you wouldn't take it literal, but how do you apply it?
And I think that's man, it would be awesome to have him on the show. And I also think that's why goals, man. And you will. And you know, part of what you're doing and the reason it's helping out people, again, I use the word energy. Juice is what it is. Sure. But again, juice is never created or destroyed, it's transferred. What juice are you going to transfer to someone? Are you going to give them something that's sour? Or are you going to give them something that's going to help them? Right. Also, what juice are you going to accept? Right? Are you going to, I tell people this all the time. I talk to my kids. They're on their social media, and you'll see this. People on social media, they're like, oh man, I'm getting angry. I'm going to respond. Yeah. That's literally, believe it or not, that's energy, right? If you looked at it like
absolutely. I get it all the time.
It goes to your eyeball, right? You still your eye, hits your retina, does this reaction in your brain, lateral nuclei. I'm going to sound like a nerd. And it creates a action potential that creates a sense of feeling. Yeah. That was off a post. Yeah. So that energy that you got off a post. So what I tell people is, one, you have to be careful what you put in your body. Totally. The great thing about social media, you have every ability to swipe it. Get out of here.
Just throw your phone on the couch and get away from it. Yeah.
And it's also important, what are you putting onto social media? Are you trying? And what you're trying to do is you got a lot of juice to give, man, and you're giving it. Trying to. And that's the good thing. And so transferring of data. And what I would say about, what we're, obviously I don't know all the answers, but about, David Goggins and whatnot, and what would we do with it? I say this all the time. What about that person, right, that I'm talking about? Eating healthy, exercising. The guy's working 2 jobs to get his kids through, right? Then you start realizing that, it's a mental state that we look at. There's a person right now in the ICU at Valley Children's, right in the corner. There's a kid right here that unfortunately probably won't make it through the next couple of days. But guess what? That kid, you see him, you tell him a joke, and you see it all the time. That kid will still smile. Right. In that state, you can still bring happiness. And so that's the real thing. How do we bring how do we help other people? And to back up on that, who's that person that is going to give that kid the opportunity to smile, that tell that joke? And that's what we are in life. We're vectors, right? We're vectors in this world to be able to help someone, or you can walk by and say, oh man, the kid's going to die anyway. I'm not going to waste my energy on that. I know. And there are people like that. There is. Every day we get that opportunity. You look at that mirror and you say, am I going to be someone that gives good juice? I'm saying I don't give any juice at all, or gives bad juice. And people like you, they're very important because, we have to spread that. Because again, it's never created or destroyed. No. It's transferred. And that's what people need to realize. I think you're doing a good thing, man.
I appreciate it. And, I always say positive vibes only because it is. And even hey, we both played at Fresno State. Let's be honest. 2-4 right now. When this podcast will drop, the New Mexico game will be over.
You were fat. I was a DB. I would have acted like a hamstring pool. When you got off I would have acted just so I didn't look bad.
I'm just gonna. I have become a podcast now that also is a fighter for the haters of Fresno State football. And hey, if you're a Fresno State football fan, listen to this right now. You love us when we're up. You don't like us very much when we're down. And I'm just saying, love us no matter what, because these are 18 to 22-year-old kids busting their ass to produce for the Valley and be the best version of themselves they could possibly be. So when I see even especially fans saying, oh, blah, 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 they can't, they suck. I'm like, hey man, stop. And I don't care because again, I'm not ABC 30 Action News. I'm not KC 24. Yeah. Pull up, bro. Yeah. I don't want it to come to that. Yeah. But I want people to stay and be like, hey, keep that same energy when in 4 weeks, 5 weeks, we're in the Mountain West Championship game.
Well, what I'll tell people too, man, and that's why I love athletics. Go a little bit more elementary, right? And you go to someone and you say, hey, what if someone was talking about your kid like that?
Right.
Your kid who's 8 years old and you say, oh, his team sucks. You'd be like, hey,
man, calm down.
Calm down.
That's what I'm saying.
Why is it good to talk to another young man like that?
Right.
So, no, I agree with you 100%. If I could say anything, people say, stay through the game. Stop leaving early. Stay through the game. That's how you show support, right? Backing someone up isn't backing up someone it's convenient.
Yeah.
Backing up someone is when it's not convenient. I always tell people, I use the word helping, right? Old lady falls in front of me. Me picking her up isn't help. I'm supposed to help her out, right? I'm late to work. I'm in bad mood. My back hurts. And someone from across the street falls. Stop with them. Now that's helping. You go, helping isn't helping only when it's convenient.
Right.
Taking that to athletics and supporting Fresno State. Don't come in there just when we have the David. And I played with David. So the David and the Derek cars. No, you got to be there. Blood in, blood out, man. You got to be in there. So I'm with you on that.
That's all I'm saying.
Don't wear a red shirt.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to be a hater. And like I think people.
I'm a hater
too.
with that. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think people forget too.
Yeah.
18 to 22-year-old, bro. That's a pretty young man.
Yep,
like
young man.
there's a lot of pressure on these people. Yep. Like I get it, but just calm down. Like they're gonna. And you know what? Have some faith in Jeff Tedford. Like just do it.
Yeah.
Okay, before we continue, I got a couple ad reads. Mm-hmm. First things first, this episode is brought to you in part by the American Pistachio Growers. If you want to perform like the pros, eat your pistachios. Absolutely. Kids, eat your nuts.
Yep.
A lot of protein in them.
Actually, great source of healthy fat. Healthy fat is essential, for hormone production. Eat those pistachios.
Jake.
Yep.
Clip that one.
Absolutely.
Second up, we have Fresno First Bank. Absolutely. Huge supporters of the Bring the Juice podcast. Fresno First, the local bank to Fresno in the community. They got a strong connection with business owners. Mm-hmm. They help them grow and succeed. You walk into Fresno First, they give you a high five, a handshake, a go dogs, a hey, you listened to that episode of Bring the Juice last week. One of those. And they're positive vibes only. And if you're looking for a definitive banking experience where they're going to treat you like family and take a sound business approach, then Fresno First is where you're going to need to be. It's not even close.
And Frank, I'll jump on that too.
Please.
I'm a business owner, I own a couple of businesses. I bank with Fresno First Bank for 2 reasons. First reason, when you start business, everybody wants your money, right?
Of course.
Fresno First Bank is local, and exactly like I said, when I walk in, they know who I am. They treat me well. So, just like Bulldog, stop selling out, man. Support local.
Jake, clip that one too. Seriously though, last ad. Honestly, I gotta say they're one of the OGs, Dervos Deli. I don't know if you've been, but it is across from the Save On Center. It used to be the Deli Delicious right there by Red Wave Liquor.
Okay.
And there's a Starbucks right there.
Okay.
I'm not kidding when I say this. I had a meeting there this week with Terry Toomey. We walked in there. I was waiting for him. I was a little early. Had my Bring the Juice hat on. Yeah. Owner was like, "Hey Frank, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "Hey, I'm doing business." "What do you mean, man?" "I'm trying to help the dogs out." Yeah. He's like, "Hey, yeah, you want some fries?" I was like, "My fiance is making dinner." He's like, "I have some fries." Eat some fries. I'm like, dude, these are freaking bomb. Yeah. And he's like, I know. Yeah. And I'm always preaching the chicken sandwich on here. I'm preaching this, that, and the other. Dude, the crisp cut fries, I mean, they'll change your life. They're awesome. Right. Check it out. I know I've been saying this, but I'm going to have my own Bring the Juice sandwich up there. Nice. And I think if you wear a Bring the Juice hat when you go in and you get the sandwich, it's like $5 or something like that.
Nice.
Nice steal, right?
There you go.
Anyways, those are the supporters of Bring the Juice. Shout out to all our sponsors.
Absolutely.
I got to get you some Dervos.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Working with all these athletes in the Valley, and we've been circulating this. Is there an ultimate goal someday you'd like to achieve with these athletes? I know you got your platform now. We're going to get into all the things you do to help these athletes with Recover. I know you got Recover Me.
Yep.
We're going to get into what you do there. Okay. But is that the ceiling? Is that what you want to do? Are you satisfied with that? Do you eventually want to open a sports complex someday that has all these things offered? Because I don't know about you, but you had the training room at Fresno State.
Yep.
There's no really training rooms for normal people. Right. It's kind of a rare thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, what do you think? What's your ceiling?
Ooh, so my ceiling, believe it or not, it's going to divert a little bit from athletics, but my goal, because people have asked me, "Oh man, when are you going to reach success?" My goal eventually is going to be able every year to be able to pay for someone to go to a university. That's my goal. To be able to say, hey, I got children right now. One of them paying $50,000 a year for them to go to college. I would love to be able to say, hey, you want to go study at Cornell? absolutely we'll pay for that.
Yeah.
And so there's one of the scholarships that we started some years ago. It's called the Unfinished Business Scholarship. Actually, a good buddy of mine, Dante Marsh, we played together through social media. Again, positive energy. Social media, we got in contact. He was doing good things for some kids out in Oakland. Fell a couple of classes short from graduating. He was trying out for the pros. He ended up playing in Canada for blah, blah, blah. It happens to a lot of us, right?
Absolutely.
So I told him, listen, man, I'm going to pay for your school. Pay for your school. And at the time, at a state was an expense. I think it was $6,000 I paid. Helped him out. Since then, so now it's been, 7 years. Every year we've helped someone that's going back to school pay for their school. Now, these are little $2,000, $2,500 scholarships, $2,500 scholarships. But my goal would eventually be that I'm going to make this up. I'll say he's a buddy of mine. Cameron Worrell came back to school, finished, and then also he ended up getting his master's. I would love to be able to say, hey, man, we're going to pay for that. Right. Because what people don't understand, they're going to talk about, when you're a kid, you had a scholarship, or when you were younger, you had a scholarship and whatnot. There's a lot that goes on, man.
So much that goes
on. Very hard to go to school.
Yes.
And you're also a young guy. And I know, although academics is first, let's be realistic.
Well, it's student athlete.
Yeah, it's supposed to be that, but let's be realistic, man. Your body hurts. You're thinking about the game. It's a lot of athletics plays into it. And so my goal eventually would be for what we've put blood, sweat, and tears into the field, when we're no longer scoring touchdowns, we're no longer making interceptions, to help these guys out. And that's what we've been able to do for the last 7 years. Again, the scholarships are usually about $2,500, but I would love for the next time someone says, hey, I'm going to get my master's, I'm coming back, whether it's $2,500 or $30,000.
Right.
So we got this.
Right.
Because you've done your time. And that's kind of my goal with through a foundation I have. It's called Bautista Foundation.
I mean, I love that. I want to make sure we support that, shout that out. That's awesome. That's absolutely beautiful that you do that. Have you considered, I like that you mentioned, going through the ringer as an athlete, and like these student athletes go through so much. Have you considered
that's a whiskey? Can I say real quick, we're in a national shortage of lidocaine. It's an anesthetic, getting up. So what did dentists and doctors used to do back in the day? Yeah. They use whiskey. So we're just numbing I have a sore tooth. Right?
That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. I broke my jaw in high school, so maybe it's like a natural instinct or something.
It's a doctor's orders.
Right? And we need some more.
Yeah.
What's your take then on NIL? Because I think, and call me crazy, but I think Fresno State is one of those places. I saw the stat today about Auburn. If you play football at Auburn, walk on or scholarship, if you're on the roster, the 110-man roster, you're getting paid $7,500 a month. Now, that's SEC money. There's a lot going into that. But I'm just thinking, we're in the Mountain West. There's talks of us going to the Pac-12, the Big 12, blah, 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 all these. Let's just use the Mountain West as an example. If Fresno State, as a recruiting tool, because that's what it's becoming now. Yep. Do you think if Fresno State it became a thing where maybe we're not doing $7,500, but maybe we have a fund where we got 10 people that pitch in X amount a month, and each player gets $500. I don't know about you, but when I was in college, if I got a $500 envelope every month, that'd be pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
That'd be really, really cool.
Right.
And if I saw that on a thing like Twitter or Instagram and it was known, I would kind of be like, am I going to go to blah, 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 or Fresno State and collect $500, which, what's that, $6,000 a year? I mean, I'm going there. So, I think there's enough people that care about Fresno State football, people that care enough about the Valley, that would come together to do something like that.
Absolutely.
You think so?
And one of the things I'm going to brag a little bit, we're actually the only company, the first and the only Fresno that is doing an NIL deal with Fresno State football. So all the athletes have been in this. Has all been gone through the compliance department. They come, they get their cryotherapy, the recovery, IVs, all the stuff that you see post. We do it through the NIL to help people out. Now it's not financial, but they get recovery for. But if you're
an athlete, you could come in and you could get it in
hyperbaric oxygen therapy. All the main things that
which is what
Tom
I want to get
Brady,
into next.
Steph Curry, all those guys get. Our local athletes are getting as well, and some of them will speak on what they've had done. Actually today you saw my post. I had one young man getting an IV earlier, right? Yeah. So no, I'm about it. The one thing I will say is this though, and again I go back. I'm a little bit older now. I have my son who's 16 playing ball out in Chicago, and I tell him this: things would be nice to be in SEC, but But if you're not there yet, if you're not there, I don't want to hear you bitch and moan about it.
Right.
What I don't want is that to take away your hunger. There's something that's awesome about the guy that's a walk-on.
I love it.
There was a podcast of yours that I was listening to, and actually a couple of them, but one of them was talking about the GOATs, right, with these best athletes, right? And there's a bunch of, Jordan was one that was mentioned. Absolutely. But one of the athletes that I have my kids watch is Mike Tyson. I'm going to tell you why. Mike Tyson was 5'0" nothing. I actually met him in Vegas. He's probably like 5'10", knocking out 6'6" dudes, right? So he wasn't this dude that was 6'8", and he worked hard work ethic, blah, blah. Everybody at that level, you have to be the GOAT, right? But what I loved about Mike Tyson, and he's so open about his talks, is he had the fear of God when he was so scared. I didn't let his opponent know. To him, he was a tiger, but he was so scared of letting Customato down. He was afraid of losing. I love hungry people. I tell people that. So for me, I'm obviously people say, oh, there's another doctor that does it. To me, there's no competition.
Oh, man.
I'm not worried about the guy that got into medical school. I'm worried about the guy that didn't get into medical school. Or I'm worried about that doctor that's coming from Nigeria, from Pakistan.
Hungry dog always runs faster.
Absolutely. That's what I'll say. The NIL sounds great. And when it comes, it comes. But if you don't have it, work your ass off so you can get it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the mindset I've always taken it. I mean, so, these athletes, let's get into Recover Me a little bit. You got cryo.
Yep.
I mean, go.
Yeah, hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Basically, what we did is, unfortunately, a lot of doctors like myself, we learn to treat disease or once there's an injury, right? What about preventative, right? And we know now that inflammation causes about 99% of disease, from cancers to hamstring tears, right? Low vitamin C, oxidative stress, hamstring pulls. So what we really work on is your body's optimization, getting you to be the best you, and that can be with hyperbaric oxygen therapy, increasing oxygenation, decreasing inflammation. We do these recovery IVs, such as Myers cocktails from Dr. Myers and Johns Hopkins for inflammation, vitamin C. There's a bunch of different ones. We start out with blood work to find out where you're at, right? Whether it's hormones, whether it's vitamins, inflammation. So we started this company, so to speak, instead of going the traditional route and giving medicine, rather making your body has an amazing ability to heal itself. You hear this all the time in shows like Joe Rogan and it's true. And all I'm doing now is mixing a little bit of medicine, medical knowledge, with a little bit of our athletic treatment. Knowledge. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll talk about hamstrings. I just had this young man come in, and I won't say who he is, but he was a college athlete at a community college, played with his dad. Kid kept pulling his hamstring, and so everybody is telling this kid, you need to work out your hamstrings. You need to work out your hamstrings. And I go, well, let me tell you something. Around this nation, there's thousands and thousands of kids that are playing just like you. How come they're not pulling their hamstrings? So it has nothing to do really with your hamstring. It's the structure of the hamstring.
Yeah.
And so what we ended up doing was looking at this kid, and his feet were so stiff. He couldn't do these exercises. I always post them in Instagram. His mobility was horrible. So just like a car, his alignment was off. As the alignment's off, the hamstring was pulled. And then sure enough, I started talking about his nutrition. Man, this kid, he looks great. Flaming hot Takis, soda pop, all that crazy stuff. And so what ends up happening is pulling his hamstring. We got this kid in our hyperbaric chamber, red light therapy, vitamin C IVs, but the main thing, working on mobility, guy's running well now.
Wow.
Yeah, the body has an amazing ability to heal itself. Don't let people tell you otherwise. That's what PRP is, right?
Yeah.
Platelet-rich plasma. When I was a kid, Kobe Bryant got it. He had to fly to Germany because then they didn't know what it was. All it's doing is we're drawing your blood, we're spinning it down, because our body, right now, if you were to punch me, it's going to hurt, it's going to bruise. A couple of days, the bruise goes away and it feels better because my body sends signals to heal. Well, what we do now is potentiate that healing. So make it, as you get older or through inflammation, your body's ability to heal decreases. So what we do is we maximize your body's own ability to heal, whether it's nutrition, whether it's sauna, whether it's cryotherapy. We find those modalities to you. And right now we're doing it for our athletes. Actually, I'm going to meet with some basketball players. So we're taking care of these Fresno guys.
I loved it. I mean, that's absolutely awesome.
Yep.
Is it open? I know you're taking care of the athletes. A lot of Bring the Juice athletes. What about if I'm just... let's say I'm done. I don't know you personally.
That's actually how I make my money.
Right.
Yeah, I'd go broke if everything was free. So the athletes I help with the NIL deal, but for the most part, my number one is washed up athletes like me. Right?
Yeah.
I still think I can do it. Right. I'm running a half marathon in a couple of weeks. People like me that can pay for it, and then also young high school, their parents pay for it.
Right.
And there's other things I do. So like my cancer patients, they get the hyperbaric chamber for free, right? We do well enough that we got to give back, man. We have to give back. So for these young athletes at Fresno State, I know how it is.
You've been there. Yeah, it's tough.
They may post wearing Jordans, but you and I know back then.
Man, that's half the check.
We're broke,
nothing.
man. Yeah. Dad got that for them.
We're going to Applebee's on freaking Fridays.
Absolutely.
I know how it is.
So I really try to help out as much as possible, but also with the notion that, I talk to all of them. When they're done, they help. That just going back to, going all the way back to what we talked about at the beginning.
Help the guy out of the car.
You got it. Helping that guy that's just finished with sports. Hey, man. Someone else helped you, you help that person back.
Right.
And that's what it all comes down to. And that's what I'm for. There's a guy, I'm going to name drop him, that we're helping out as well. A guy named Nico. Was he number one?
Remigio. Yeah.
Nico Remigio. He comes to the clinic, see him post with us. I was in Chicago, I live part-time in Chicago, and this young lady that that I know out there, she goes and she says, you know what? That guy Nico played at Cal. She went to Cal.
Yeah.
Played at Cal. She said, she didn't say he's this handsome guy. Didn't say he's this good football player. Said, you know what? That guy Nico, very nice guy, very respectable and very smart. That's why I like Nico. So I talked to Nico. I said, good for you. Yeah. Right now, what you're building, I always say, you shake hands and you kiss babies, right? What you're
say it all the time.
Now, you got it. What you're doing now is going to follow you later on. And that's what I try to show these athletes too. Because later on, football is going to end, whether you're good or whether you're, horrible.
No one cares.
No, it's going to end. And the reason people speak to you, because they remember you when you played, right? Yeah, we all do crazy things. But if you say, man, Frank's a cool guy, Juan is a really cool guy, they're going to remember that when you get older. And you also remember those guys that didn't give a crap about you, right? And that's the other thing I try to tell these young guys. No, you could definitely be you. But remember, man, what you're doing now is you're building that platform so that you can have this podcast.
And I tell my little brother, I've never once said I've been the biggest touchdown scorer ever. I wasn't that dude. There's dudes on this wall that were, but one of the reasons I have such a good connection with the guys that I played with and the coaches that I played with is because, again, like you said, high character dude. I was always real.
Right.
And I think when you're a guy who works their ass off, you're respected. And to me, it was always been about respect.
Right.
And even when I was in high school, we would go against a team that, you know what, they're just better than us. We went against we played some Edison teams that had 15 dudes that were going signed to play Division I football. Probably not going to get it done.
Right.
We got 23 dudes at Memorial on our team.
Right.
Like, it's just not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
My goal was to go as hard as I can, and guess what? These dudes are going to respect me. I don't care what happens. You keep that mindset up of, I just want to be respected.
Absolutely.
I want to be respected. I want to be respected. And guess what? There's guys who are on billboards at Fresno State years ago who nobody cares about them anymore.
Right.
They don't.
That's right.
Me, I've tried to stay in my lane. I'm trying to be the best version of myself I could possibly be every day and help these guys out that are doing their thing. And if you're a guy who's listening to this that is in that realm of you were once on a billboard and guess what? Now no one cares because you kind of just went into a tank. Guess what? You could climb out.
Absolutely.
Energy, juice, it never dies out. It just transfers over. And get some of it back in your belly because you need it.
Absolutely.
And you know what? If you had it at one point, you could get it again. I truly believe that. I think getting it the first time might be a little hard.
Yeah.
But if you had it once, there's a spark that you get it again. Right. And that transition, it's hard, man.
Absolutely.
Holy cow, it's hard.
Yeah.
You go from king shit to just $20 an hour.
Absolutely.
9 to 5.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Nobody cares. Yeah. It's and it's especially in this society with social media when people want what's next. But that should also tell you at the end of your day, that 24 hours when it's start fresh. There's someone, I forget the mathematics of how many seconds there are in a day, but it's there's so many seconds you have in a day. And if you looked at it like in a bank account, right? If we had $1 million every day to spend, right? We wouldn't spend part of it because I'm going to save it because you spend at the end of the day, it's done.
Right.
What you would do is you're going to make the most out of that $1 million every day because every day you wake up, you're starting over. That's how we have an eye. So what happens is what those touchdowns that you made in the past, those interceptions, or on the opposite, those mess ups, that next day you have an opportunity to redeem yourself or make yourself do something better, right? And I go through that too. It's tough. I 3 days out of the year, 3 times of the year, I try to do global out. So I go to countries like Colombia, Honduras. This year I'm going to Nigeria to help people out. I do that because I have to remind myself, man. And also what happens is last year's Colombia trip already got old. I got to do it again. I got to do it. You have to remind yourself. It's like going to the gym, right?
Absolutely.
Right now you bench press once, 10 2 weeks from now, that bench pressing didn't matter. It's doing it in a consistent.
Right.
And that goes from transferring your juice to people to helping people. So you got to wake up and say, no, man. And if you look at it, when you were scoring touchdowns, what were you doing? You're waking up early, 6 a.m.s. You're disciplined. So if you want to get back to that level, get back to that routine. Get your ass up early. Eat right. Get your mind right. Get it going.
That same energy you had that you applied to sports, it could be transferred into kicking ass in life.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing we say.
Absolutely.
So, Doc, my last question would be, if in a student athlete who's now entering real life, okay, you're done with that structure of Division I sports, maybe you're done with the NFL, a long seasoned career, whether you like it or not, unless you're the top 1% of the NFL, you don't have to, you're going to be an analyst.
Right.
You're going to have to do something.
Right.
What do you think is the number one character trait that athletes can carry over from their athletic career and apply it to regular life?
Hard work. And I'm going to tell you, and it sounds very kumbaya, but I'm going to explain that for a second. It's hard work, and it's hard work in something you're not good at. And I'm going to explain. So you can walk into a room, and most likely, at least me, and I told this to my son, probably never going to be the strongest, probably never going to be the fastest, but you can walk in and be the hardest worker. If someone woke up at 4 a.m., you can choose to wake up at 3:50 a.m., right? The other thing is people say, yeah, man, working hard in the gym. It's because you like that.
Right.
We all remember when we were playing football, we worked hard on things we didn't like. Nobody likes squatting, 20 rep squats of 315. I remember Tucker made me do that. I didn't, not that much. 225, I think it was. 20 rep squats, right? Yeah, it might have been more. It was pretty good squats. But you have to be the hardest worker in the room at things that you suck at. And that's what athletes do well at, right? If all you do is work hard at things that you're good at, you're going to be, if you look, again, mathematics, a little bell-shaped curve, you're going to be a small percentage. You got to work hard on those things that you're not good at. And that might mean patience and saying, shit, I'm going to learn to stop being, it's not football anymore. I can't go lay people out. Maybe I'm going to work on this part of my attitude. Maybe you work on public speaking. Public speaking's tough, man. You do an awesome job.
It's hard.
And guess how you get good? You get better at things just like we got in football, repetition. So if you want to get better at whatever you want to do, whether it's sales, whether it's real estate, whether it's medicine, start practicing. Get better, but be the hardest worker in the room. And that is measurable. People say, oh, how do you measure hard work? I can tell you right now, if I wake up, if I woke up today at 3:50 to go to the gym, if I'm already up and going by 4, and someone says, oh, I got up at 6, man, I already had 2 hours on you.
Right.
There's Dante Marsh, same guy. He always says the same. He goes, how can they beat you if they can't outwork you?
Right.
It's the same thing, man. So that's, to me, the number one trick.
I agree. I mean, and you said it great there. Like I say, control the controllables all the time. Like you have to.
Yep.
And you can't overthink it. Just it's as simple as it sounds.
Yep.
And if you do that, I think you could go to bed and sleep good every night because you worked your ass off to be the best version of yourself you could possibly be that day. Doc, I'm going to wrap it up here. You got anything else you want to say to Bring the Juice Nation?
Man, I want to say I really love what you're doing. I think listening to some of the podcasts, it's great to get what you're really trying to do is again transfer that juice to other people, and that's what we're here in this world. We're actually, the way you cure yourself from illness is by helping other people. Isn't that amazing? So by you doing this and by you guys listening, by you helping out that other athlete that's maybe going through some stuff, or that young kid that wants to become an athlete like you, that's what's going to really fill your cup. It's not going to be what you do for yourself. You're already an athlete. You've been put in this world to kick some ass.
It's done.
Help someone else out and you'll get that much better. And actually, I talked about my team that I have with me and whatnot. I'm super blessed. And the only reason I'm blessed is because I continue to help people. The day I stop helping people, that gift's going to be taken away from me. I already know that's the way things work in this world.
It's the way it
works.
works.
Wake up in the morning, you say, what kind of juices am I going to give to someone? Mm-hmm. Am I going to give good juice, bad juice, or no juice at all? Give good juice, man. Bring that goddamn juice.
Bring that goddamn juice. Get your piss out, guys. An absolute banger of an episode. Doc, we're gonna tag you and everything. Make some great collabs. The scholarships. We got some shit to talk about.
And you know what? I'm gonna say too, man. We're speaking not just because I'm here. We're gonna sponsor your show. Back up local, man. Be about it, right? A lot of people talk about things. You say, "Oh, I got this guy's back." You really got your friends back?
Right.
Getting someone's back is not, oh, I'm going to go party with them. No, getting someone's back saying, oh, man, get out of here, go study.
I agree.
Get out of here, let's go run some sprints.
Let's do it.
So, for you guys that are going to watch the show that are my homies, back this guy up. Let's give him a sponsor.
Appreciate it.
Let's get it going.
Yo, fire me up. Bring the juice this week, baby. Go Dogs.